the Hague Group calls for arms embargo. Could this become a new axis of global justice like the anti-apartheid movement?
I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little skeptical personally. It's only my personal opinion. Because the anti-apartheid movement, one of the reasons why it succeeded so much was timing. And so the timing was the end of the Cold War, and that anti-apartheid movement, which existed, for a long time, didn't have a lot of bite, right? It was only able to change things on the ground in the late 80s, early 90s, when Soviet Russia, when the Russian communist government collapsed. This is when really the anti-apartheid movement had a bite and was able to change things. And in America itself, the African American community in America played a big part in the anti-apartheid movement. Today, sadly for the Arab world and the Islamic world, we don't see yet, Arab Belgians or Muslim Italians. We don't see them organized the way African Americans were in the late 80s, leading the charge of the anti-apartheid movement. That's one point. Another point is today there's a big difference from the apartheid era. Is we have two superpowers today. Russia is no longer a superpower. And Europe, of course, the European Union, as I said earlier, is very, very far from ever being a superpower. There's only two big global powers today, China and America. And when President Trump entered the White House 8 months ago now, the whole world entered a new era called the age of geoeconomics, or the new great game, pitting Washington against Beijing. That's the great game, right? And so what I'm coming at here, where is the field, the playing field? These two giants, the dragon and the eagle, where is the field where they fight, where they compete? It is the Asia-Pacific area. So America is pivoting all its military, economic, financial focus and resources on the Asia-Pacific area, away from Europe and the Middle East. That also is very different from the anti-apartheid movement, and that's why Trump wants to close that chapter of the Ukraine-Russia war, which he thinks is a distraction, because he wants to focus on China and Asia. What I'm coming at, that part of the world we call the Near East or the Middle East or Israel or Palestine, is of little strategic value today in the eyes of America and China. It is not the main field where they compete. It's not the part of the world where they are now mobilizing resources. So that is why Trump is happy, quote unquote, to give free rein to Israel, because he sees no strategic value. He sees no strategic importance to that part of the world. And one more point I want to make, comparing the situation today to the apartheid era, or to the King Faisal and Saddam Hussein era in the 70s, right? In the 70s, with King Faisal in Saudi Arabia, with Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr and Saddam Hussein in Iraq, the Arabs, they came together after the 1973 war, and they decided for a few weeks to come up with an oil embargo, and that worked to a certain extent to put pressure on the West. Today, even if they wanted to, even if the Arabs wanted to, which is very unlikely, to come up with an oil embargo, blah, 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 like they did in 1973, 74, today it would not work. Why? Because the proportion of world energy and oil and gas coming from the Middle East has shrunk dramatically in the past 50 years, and America no longer needs to import oil from the Middle East. So all that put together makes me a little skeptical. The Hague Committee or the Hague Association is a good starting point, but what I'm coming at, it will be a long road, a long and slow. People, children, women and children are dying today.
Mm-hmm. Let me go here to Dr. Salmouni. And Dr. Salmouni, Europe condemns Russia over Ukraine, yet hesitates on Israel. Why this glaring double standard in defending human rights? And What do you have here on what Mr. Fazeli said?
Russia has Ukraine is more important to Russia than any other area, and Russia has made a deal with especially Putin. Putin and Trump have all a very strong relationship, though it doesn't show, but they do have a strong relationship. And Russia has helped Mr. Trump to be elected previously there, okay, with the lots of information. Today, Russia has made a deal with America and especially Mr. Trump that they will pull out of Syria and bring all the Daesh and all the ISIS people into Syria and move out of Syria there. Therefore, this is part of really the world of conspiracy, of the Jewish conspiracy, which is today integrated on the Middle East. And Russia also pulled out of Iran and allowed America and Israel to bombard Iran. And also the media created the stories that Iran has almost very close to produce a nuclear weapons, but this is not true. Iran has never reached even 1% or 2% to produce a nuclear weapons. Iran is a very weak country, and the military have no military whatsoever or any that what's at all. That's why America and Israel created the story, therefore, in order to go and hit Iran and tell the Arabs, and especially Saudi Arabia and the Gulf area, here we are. If you ever decided to do anything, we'll do the same. This is exactly the whole picture right now. We need to look at the wider picture. We need to look how we will protect our interests. Our interest, it should be economically. Our interest should be not just military, economically. The power today in the economic power. Israel is being used as a very strong ally to United States. In the Congress, there are 32 Jewish members there, which represent about 18% of the total Congress. Also in America, there is a fund which has carried 244 billion. That fund called CAP fund, and that's produced by the Jewish, and that fund used specifically to elect members of parliament who are sympathize with Israeli cause. Israel today believe that there is the issue of Palestine do not exist, and they should not be there in that area. And that is exactly what they are going, and America supporting them, and the European unfortunately support that. Why the Europeans supporting this? Because the Europeans are also have a problem with America, all creating a problem. America has threatened that will pull out of NATO and supplying the defense of NATO, and that's why Europe are agree, especially those big three countries, which is UK, Germany, France. They are following American policy. They pretended that they are helping the cause and to try to solve the problem of the Gaza, but right. Unfortunately, it does not happen. Right. And I personally believe that the problem, it will remain as it is unless we stand together as an right. Arab and try to force the issue.